and your associate should be exempted with the job. There need to be a distinction between the two, which is why when you are in a job, if possible, there need to be different social media accounts, maybe. I'm a Democrat.
Okay, any other person with any view on that? So was Kop Shakur right or wrong? What do you think?
Yes, he was right, because in the society we have different consciousness. Employer cannot be always right. I can criticize and I can do what I think to be right. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Any other person? Just views.
For me, I think it's right and wrong. Right and wrong. So angetumia tu ka fake account, I express the same thing, and I express life. Okay. Yeah, it's two ways. It's a two-way thing.
According to me, I believe he was wrong. One of the reasons I say he's wrong, it's because if he was in a uniform, that's offending his employer. But if he was dressed as a citizen, then it would be okay. But if he's in a uniform, it's wrong.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Yeah, I think you wanted to share. Okay, thank you. Okay.
So the intention was good, but based on the position that he was representing, he was going against the policies and the guidelines of the institution. That's the government. So the intention is pure. It was good, but because he is a representation of government, it was against. Yeah.
Thank you. I think there was a gentleman who wants to share.
Thank you. I think in such situations, what we need to look at first is what exactly is this officer supporting? What does Mandamano stands for? Just like you rightly mentioned earlier, that people have the freedom to strike. Now, if Mandamano is actually geared towards correcting what is wrong in the system, it is the right, it is the constitutional obligation of the officer to support that and also protect those who engage in that act. Because every individual has the right to freedom of expression and opinion and say, hey leader, we voted you to do this for us. Now you've not done it. We're coming out to express our grievances. Now, the right of the police officers is to protect the individuals, the citizens of the country, not just the leaders alone. So if a police officer says, yes, these guys are right, coming out to say, this is what we want our leader to do for us, or this is not wrong in the system, the police officer is 100% exercising his own constitutional right, irrespective of what the job says between himself and his boss. Because sometimes we must also put ourselves in the shoes of these employers. If you were the president, would you allow your own security to do that? The question now is the president upholding the Constitution? It's not if the police officer is wrong, he's right. The question is the leader at the top upholding and living by the Constitution? Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I can clap for him. Okay, so is there any thought, anyone who wants to put a thought or two before I give the other scenario? Okay. Okay, so I can give another scenario. How many of you are on Twitter? Maybe you can just raise your hands. Are you actively on Twitter? Okay. So the ones on Twitter might have to fill in the ones who are not on Twitter, just on this bit of expression, and I think it will tie into the other bit about workplace engagement and whatnot. There is a video that's been trending online. There is a CEO of a company called Astronomer. I don't know if you've seen. So there's a CEO of a company called Astronomer. So he was in a Coldplay concert with the head of HR. I know it's a funny. So with the head of HR, they were found, and both of them are married, but we are not going to go in the married segment. So it's the CEO of a big company and the head of HR. The CEO is male, the head of HR is a lady. They went to a concert together. Or I don't know if they, let's even assume they went to this concert and maybe charged the bill to the company. I want to just tell me, what do you think? Do you think they were right to go on this concert, like a type of date, the CEO and the head of HR, and was it proper? And what do you think? Was it within their realm of their private life, or does it affect their work life? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, I think it depends with the policies of the company. There are some companies where you're not supposed to date your colleague, but personally, as a person, I think they were okay.
Okay, thank you. You can clap if you wanted to clap to encourage. Yeah, you can clap. Yeah. Any other person, if you watch the video, and what do you think?
Yeah, I watched. So there is nothing much happened. Yeah, honestly. So
it was okay.
It was not sabotaging their roles.
Okay. Any other? Yeah, she'll share as well.
Maybe as I come towards you, this is an open space. No one will judge your decision, your comment. It's just your opinion.
Okay, I think they were both right, and it was, since this happened out of workspace, I think it was very, very right, but now the one who it was exposing, I think, is the one violated their rights.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't watch the video, but as per what you've said, I think if they were married, that means they were accepted in the organization. But your part, where they use they fund their lifestyle with the company's funds, that's up and down. It's not right.
Okay, maybe they were married to two different people. Maybe that can give you a context. I don't know if that
changes. Okay, so they were cheating.
Yes.
And was the conference related to the work, or it was just?
It was a concert.
Concert.
It's like Sauti Sol. You can go for Sauti Sol together. Yeah.
That was wrong. That was wrong, and also using the company funds to fund their lifestyle, it's also wrong.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Yeah. It's a free space, as Joseph has mentioned. No one is rejudging you. It's quite okay. That's why I'm even asking, so that no one says their name, so that no one tracks and says this person's name. So you can just share. Yeah.
The problem was the marriage bit. If the both of them were not married and their company allows colleague to date, there would be no problem. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, please. Yeah. Just sharing. I think there are a number. You're free to share.
Well, for me, I think
it was okay, but for the intention of this person that posted the video, I don't know the intention. Whether he only wanted that concert, but I think
that's wrong.
For again, using the company's fund, because this is a place where it's out of work, of which we should use our own funds for that kind of thing. So for me, it's a problem. Thank you.
According to me, these people, human being is a rational person, and they were out there enjoying themselves. Out of work, banning time out from job. Something like that.
Thank you. I think there was a hand there. Yeah. Okay, you can share them. You can come back.
Yeah. What I can say, they were right, because that was just your perception. They were cheating. You are not sure. They were just, I can touch my colleague and then it's just fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, please, just feel free and let it out.
Okay. in terms of a coin, head and toe and tail, it was bad and wrong. It was bad on the side of the person who leaked the information, maybe consented or not. On the side of the right, the nature, the desire is something that is personal, and it is there. So maybe they were out enjoying, having a, what is it called? Capacity building, team building, something like of the kind. They were enjoying themselves so that they can have a good rapport at work. But then, coincidentally, someone with another intention took the advantage. Who knows? Anyway, morally, there is the perception of the wrong side of it. But in terms of well-being of a person, they were enjoying themselves.
Thank you. Any thoughts? The floor is still open. Just any thoughts? You wanted to share?
Okay, me, I was saying that relationship on its own, it's not good. HR, CEO, it will affect a lot at the workplace. For example, may I have an issue with the HR? Can I talk in Swahili? Okay, so I was saying, for example, I have an issue with the HR, alafu, niende tupelekane mbio mbio, anezenda ambie CEO, unataka atoke job. And she can do that. Why? Because yena CEO akona that.
That's relationship. So it's the relationship itself, HR, CEO.
Thank you. And I think as we go on, what we're learning even from another is, yes, you have a right.
Rights as well. Yeah, but it's still open. You can take like 3-5 more and then we can now move.
Is there anyone with any contribution?
Anyone wanted to share? Okay, Mushi wanted to share. Yeah. If it's gone.
Okay, the issue here is married. Kama the CEO angekuwa single and the HR akuwe single, I think the person who was filming angefilm because both of them are single. So the aim of that person who filmed the thing is just the CEO ako married and the HR ako married. So ndo ikafanya that speculations online. But wangekuwa single, nothing could have happened.
Thank you. So any other person, we can take like 2, yeah, please, you can share with him. Or you can go then, you can share with him.
Okay, they were right according to the law because they were both above the legal age to make love. So as long as there is no one who had forced the other, they were right. The issue of marriage, it's, I think it's about a personal decision. If someone is outside there at their workplace, they know they are married and their colleague is married, and both come together and agree, let's do this. So according to them, they were right, like according to the law. But now, according to the issues to do with marriage, maybe now they were wrong to their partners, but according to the constitution, as you said, you are a lawyer, they were right.
Okay. I think you also wanted to share something. You can, okay, I think you can give him and then he shares with you. Yes, of course, so that then you'll also share.
I think on the part of the way they were exposed, it was against the right of the CEO and the HR. It was against their rights. But on the other side, the CEO is the face of a company, maybe trusted by clients. So the CEO should know how to carry himself in public places, you know. So I think it was bad on both sides. It was cutting both edges, the CEO's private life and the company's face.
Hello. For me, I can say they are right if they're not using the company money. For instance, for me, the company that I was working for, hatujalipwa kitu kama 3 months alafu tumevutwa. So for me kama ni hao kama the courage. For instance, for me, kama our HR, or the leader of our company, wakue hao, ndo wameenda kujivinjari na our money. For me, I will feel bad. So if it's their right to go and mingle, but not for our monies. When you umesema hapo rules za company, imeniguza sana juu for us, we have not been paid for more than 4 months. So mimi nikiingilia hapo nione wanajienjoy na our money, kwangu itagonga ni our money.
I think there's one, there are two. We're taking 2 last contributions.
Yeah, so basically, let's start with reputation. We have organizational reputation and individual reputation. So, also we look at the implications of our deeds. For instance, as the organization actually raised complaints, or is it the spouses to these 2 individuals? Those are the questions to be asked. And also, to those of us who have not viewed maybe the video, what was the body language of these 2 persons or their reactions? So I think those questions should actually give us our clue. Or is it just the public that's actually yapping? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And we'll take one more, and then now we can move. I think the gentleman here. And I think what I'm trying to achieve with this is we are all learning from this situation. We are learning because everyone is saying there's a right, but then there's a balance. There's a right that you have as an individual to have your private life, but also there's a right for you, or that there's a responsibility for you with regards to the company and the fact that you're representing them on social media. So we are learning, and I'm hoping that's what you're catching from the conversation you're getting. Yeah.
Okay, as for me, I think it's painting a very negative picture in general in terms of the company, and also for the family. It can also lead to separation of families.
Okay, thank you. So because of time, now we'll need to move through the rest. So thank you for the contributions and what you shared, and I'm happy that you're also learning. I'm also learning from you, so that's a good thing. So the next one is tied to what we discussed a bit earlier, the fact that you have the freedom of conscience, religion, and belief, whether you are a Christian, whether you are Legio Maria, whether you go to Pastor Ezekiel, whether you go to war, to any single person. Actually, yes, we can disagree. You can say you don't like this one, you don't like that one, and everyone as a human being, that's why you're allowed. You're allowed to be a Muslim, to be a Hindu, to be an atheist, to be whoever you want to be. But in the workplace, that should not be a reason for you to be discriminated. You should be able to practice whatever you believe freely, because you don't come to work, unless now you work in a church, you don't come to work for the religious aspect. You come to get an income and give value. So you should have freedom to do all of these things. So it means freedom to wear your hijab, if it's a hijab, a turban, if you're a Catholic. Across, you should be allowed to do that, and you should not be harassed. So no one should wake up and make fun and say, you have a Kofi Corino or something, so no one should make fun of you. So if they make fun of you, they are violating your rights. And oftentimes, some of those things are even suable. So, and also accommodate, if you're a Muslim, because I've also worked with Muslims, I know sometimes you need a separate place to pray at when it comes at 4, or the times for you to pray. You should be allowed that place for you to pray according to your beliefs. You should not receive that discrimination. Yeah, so you can join, again I've mentioned, you can join professional groups, social groups, trade unions, all of those things. You're allowed to be part of those trade unions. And I believe my colleague who's coming to speak after will share about the specifics of that. The freedom association, yeah, so you have the freedom to associate in all formats. You can associate, as I mentioned, associate and be part of unions. The other thing you need to right to access information. If, for example, your employer is saying, today we've minused 100 shillings from your salary, you have a right to request and say, how did you come to this conclusion? Or if you're promoting me, how did you come to this conclusion? If you're firing me, how did you come? You need to know and be aware about why that is happening. That also ties into something that the right to fair hearing, and the fact that even if someone is deciding to fire you or to terminate your employment, they need to give you a fair hearing. That's under Article 50. I think it's not in the slides, but Article 50, and then they should give you that fair hearing. If they don't, and that during that hearing, they should accord you a chance to defend yourself. So someone can't just wake up and fire you from nowhere. It will be illegal for them to fire you. The other thing that you also required to do also, if someone, let's say, says you have poor performance, how according to how the law works is someone can't just say you're a poor performer and fire you. They need to put you into something called a performance improvement plan. And I know that because we sue a lot of companies for the same, so if someone just says by your performance is poor and they fire you and they never gave you a chance to improve, that's also it's wrong. They are violating your rights, and you can be able to sue them and go to court. Usually if you sue them, the standards usually get, I think, around, if your claim is successful, you can get, let's say, anything from like 12 months, 6 months, 12 months salary pay as compensation for that. And there are a lot of cases around that. So if you are an employee, know that. If you are the employer, also be aware of that, and don't terminate people without giving them a right to be heard. And if it's performance, giving them a chance to improve. Yeah, also freedom from slavery and forced labor. I think this is self-explanatory. And maybe this becomes a challenge as well, because I know a lot of you might also, your employees, but also at home might have your own employees in the form of domestic laborers and workers, and the people, if it's your shamba boy, or every the people that you also employ. So they also have the rights to be free from labor and from slavery. So it means giving them off time, treating them humanely, dignity. I know a lot of times when you hear these things, we think I'm an employee, so I need to get, but also chances are majority of you also employers, or you'll be employers in future. So the same rights that accord to you also will extend to that person helping you at home to be able to, it applies to them. So not too much labor, fair remuneration to the extent that you can, and also every single person that you work with. Yeah, reasonable working conditions, I believe we've spoken on that, so you have an understanding of that. If it's you're going to Mjengo, with the gear, safety gear, the basic things that are that. Now for you, because I know a lot of the work may be around content moderation, if it's you need to go to a therapist and be able to work through some of the things that you see, that's also a reasonable thing that you need. That's also part of reasonable working conditions, because for you, the work that you're doing, if content moderation, you see a lot of things and you need to talk about those things and to be healthy. So your safety gear, it may be just be a joint or individual counseling session is a part of your safety gear, is a part of what makes your working condition reasonable and fair. Yeah, so those are what I wanted to touch on briefly, and it's been a pleasure to engage. If I do not want to go into the time for the next person, so I'll leave from there, but if you want to engage personally, I think Moffat has my contacts and emails, you can go to engage from there. But thank you, my name is Meshach.
Can we all stand up for just some few minutes as the next speaker comes? So who is going to, who loved dancing? One person who loved the music and the other person who loved dancing, the two of you should come. If they are your neighbor, just tap them. They're somewhere there. You love dancing and you love singing. There's this other lady. Where is she? The stage is yours. In fact, up there. Come. All right. There's the other person. Yeah, now I can see everyone. She's on a short hair. Where is she? Is she seated? Okay. So who is volunteering to join the sister here? So we want to do an exercise. Anyone, volunteer yourself. Handsome gentlemen and beautiful ladies. So no one can dance? Okay. So can you do that for us? No, not dance. You just tell us if it's an exercise, we turn, wherever.
Yeah, exercises. Hi guys. For those who are not there, my name is Ali Sauma. I wish I never said I can sing, but naanza katikati, sitaanzia mwanzo. Hit me like a ray of sun, burning through my darkest night, 'cause you're the only one that I want. You got my addicted to your light. I swear to never fall again, 'cause I don't feel like falling. Gravity can't prevail to pull me back to the ground again. It's like I've been awakened. Every rule I
But the Gen Zs in the room really disappointed me. I'm so disappointed. I expect the Gen Zs to bring the fire in the room, but I'm not a Gen Z, of course, but the ones here, then the next session, you have to prove yourselves. If not, the ones in this room are not the ones I know. All right, so we're just going to welcome. So we're going to welcome our next speaker. How was the last session? How was it? Did we learn anything? Anyone who had something new today? Something completely new you didn't know before as a worker? Anyone? Just raise your hand if you've had something new that you've not heard about your rights before. All right, awesome. A round of applause for the speaker. Thank you so much. So our next speaker is Mr. Joshua Achando. I don't know if I pronounced your name well. Oh, he's already here. He's an industrial relations practitioner and an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and he's going to talk to us about labor rights. And I think this is a very important and crucial topic for us today. So please let's listen attentively as the session starts. Can you just send it?
Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Achando from the trade union movement. I'm an industrial relations practitioner, and I'm equally an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. It's always a challenge coming second because you have to work so hard so that you don't become last. Sindio? Yes, but tutajaribu tufanye vizuri. So mine is to bring in the perspective of labor rights for workers within the tech, for tech workers. These are workers such as content creators, data annotators, customer service agents, and remote task-based workers, which I believe is our congregation here today. So what are the common issues within this field? We are looking at long and unrealistic performance targets. Long hours of work, where you sit for more than the prescribed working hours. Then also unrealistic set performance targets that you're required to meet as a worker. Then we have psychological trauma. Psychological trauma. Oh, perfect. Thank you for that. So we have psychological trauma, which is basically coming from what we say, the content that workers are being exposed to. Then we have precarious contracts. These are contracts whereby you don't know who your employer is. For instance, you are employed by person A, but person B is the person responsible for paying your salary, and person C maybe gives you a particular instruction. Also, for unemployment to be precarious, you'll realize that you don't know maybe your place of work. Today you are working at this site, tomorrow you are working at this other site, or where you are working is not where you actually get paid. So that is it. Then we have lack of health insurance, job security. You can be terminated at any given time. So that makes that kind of work, those are some of the labor issues within the tech industries. Now, entitlements for such kind of workers. Are you entitled to anything as a tech worker, as a content moderator, as an AI annotator? Yes, you are entitled to fair labor practice, just like was said under Article 41 of the Kenyan Constitution. You are protected from forced labor and discrimination. You are also enhanced in terms of health, safety, and welfare. Your health and safety, both psychological and physical, is should be well taken care of. Then as a tech worker, you can join existing and form new trade unions. Then you also have a right for decent work. I know you don't know what is decent work. Decent work basically implies that work that has the 5 components. Remuneration within time, work that encapsulate what we call social dialogue, whereby the employer does not just impose terms, but he imposes terms after consultation with the employees. Now, you are told about Article 41 of the Kenyan Constitution. This is actually the law that actually, it is the constitutional article that actually buttresses the aspect of labor within our national spectrum. Now, within the national spectrum, you'll realize that the Constitution says every person has a right to fair labor practice. Every person. Okay? Then if you go to sub-article 2, you'll realize it says every worker has a right to fair labor practices. Have you noted the difference? Hello? At the onset of Article 41, it says every person has a right to fair labor practices. But if you go to sub-article 2 of the Kenyan Constitution, you'll realize that it goes to every worker has a right to fair labor practices. Is there any difference within those 2 sub-articles? Yes. Okay, One basically looks at the aspect of labor as a component of human right. That's why you see at the inception, you'll realize it's saying every person, meaning all human beings are actually born with inalienable rights, and therefore labor rights are part of human rights. But now when we specifically center on workers, we say every worker has a right to fair labor practice. Kwa mfano, we say you are entitled to fair remuneration, fair conditions of work. Remuneration is, for it to be fair, it must abide to certain conditions, okay? For the conditions of work to be fair, they must abide by certain conditions. Now, what makes an employment, what makes a labor practice fair labor practice? One, we say a practice in labor is fair simply because it complies with the national laws. Now, what are those laws within the country? We have 5 sets of labor laws that actually regulate the labor practice within the industrial relations field. Now, this is the Employment Act of 2007. That is one. That is one law that actually looks at the employment terms and conditions. Actually, the Employment Act is the basic law. It focuses more of the conditions and terms of work, how you are paid, how you are engaged. Of contracts, you'll realize that the Employment Act will demarcate how you are engaged. Are you engaged via oral? Are you engaged via written contract? So both of them will apply as what we call an employment term. The terms and conditions of employment are encapsulated under the Employment Act. The leave that you take is encapsulated under the Employment Act. When you are terminated, what we call your terminal dues, the ones that you are given before you leave that employer's premise, are all encapsulated under the Employment Act. Now, we have, for instance, what we say is the way that labor dispute is handled, okay? Now, those ones are also encapsulated under this act. So what will make, kwa mfano, the termination of an employee to be unfair or fair is also captured within the Employment Act. The other act that also guides the employment relationships within the country and is called the Labor Institution Act. This one basically establishes all organs that are responsible for handling employer disputes. We have the labor conciliation. Immediately an employee's contract is terminated, that employee does not go to court direct. He has to pass through a particular place, and that place that he passes through is enabled by what we call the Labor Institutions Act. And then we have another law that actually also focuses on the relations between actors. We call them the tripartite partners. We have the workers, we have the employers, and we have the government, which makes it tripartite. Now, that is governed by the law we call the Labor Relations Act. Now, this Labor Relations Act is what will also say how you will form, how you will join, and how you will become a member of a trade union movement. Because remember, we have said under Article 41, an employee is entitled to what we say the right to form, join a trade union of his or her choice. Now, what will enable that article to be implemented is encapsulated under this law we call the Labor Relations Act. Then we have the aspects we have talked about. And I had a majority of workers here from Summersource How many are from summer source? Wale walijiintroduce wakisema they are from summer source as employees. Did I get it right? Ni wangapi? Summer source hoi. Yes. Now, there was actually a case that was within the Court of Appeal for summer source workers. And it was actually a good case. The only thing is that it was a case that was, I will not use the wrong term, which is defeated, it was won on technicalities. It was not won on substance. So this case had some aspect of what we call psychological harm that workers within the content moderation are subjected to, okay? Like some people would commit suicide based on what they have been exposed to, courtesy of what we call an insomnia act. So these kind of things are all encapsulated under the occupational health and safety, whereby the employer is actually obligated to take care of the welfare of an employee, or the psychological welfare and physical welfare of an employee in the course of employment. So any hazardous health issue that comes up from this kind of employments is actually to be catered for by the employer under the Occupational Health and Safety. And then we have another work, which is the Work Injury and Benefits Act. I know within the digital workspaces, do we get injuries, physical injuries? At your workplace, do we get physical injuries? Maybe something, a machine has fallen on you, and you have been injured in the course of employment. Maybe when you are doing your work. So when you are doing your work and you are injured, equally the employer is obligated to actually compensate you and take you to a medical facility. If you even lose this finger in the course of work, do you know how much you're supposed to be compensated? Yes, a finger, we are told you will be compensated 500,000. Is that enough? Is it enough? Yes? If I lose a finger and I'm compensated 500,000, is that enough? Why is it not enough? Yes? You're saying it's too much.
It's rather too much, according to me.
He's saying it's rather too much, according to him.
Okay, according to me, that amount is not too much because hiyo ni help yako.
I've just lost a finger. I've not died, guys. And I'm compensated 500,000. Is that too much?
Small, you can never caress with 4 fingers.
You can never?
Caress with 4 fingers. So, something that, a finger is, those fingers are like, they are a form of pleasure. When you eat with your 4 fingers, you feel good, yeah? When you touch something, you feel good. So, you cannot compensate something that makes me feel good. You can never caress with, imagine caressing someone like this. It is irreplaceable. In fact, it needs more than that. Yeah, you have killed one part of my life. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so, okay.
According to me, that is not much. Because when I lose that finger, my typing speed will lower. So I will not be effective as I was.
Good. Now, the law that will actually regulate that, and what the person who will actually regulate that is encompassed under this act that we call the Work Injury and Benefits Act. Now, the moment an employee is injured, okay, the employer is, for instance, required permanent disability, or is it temporary disability? Now, those will be what is guiding your compensation of whether a loss of a finger is, for compensation of 500,000 is much or it is not much. There was, in your case, Summersource, I was reviewing a case by Summersource. And one of the arguments was the orders that were being sought cannot be sought at an interlocutory stage. Now, the issue was if an employee was injured, okay, maybe there was some what we call some psychological harm that was proved, okay? How much compensation was that? Was it, is it irreparable? In law, we call it irreparable. Is it going to bring you to a situation that you were before, or is it not going to bring you to a situation that you are not there before? So that's why we say there are certain things that are irreparable. If I work for a content moderator company and I'm moderating content and I'm exposed to content that is actually going to cause me a lot of psychological harm, and maybe I run mad, do you think there is an amount of compensation that is going to bring me back to normalcy? Is there any compensation? There was a certain media personality in Kenya, I think in the mainstream media, in Citizen, I think it was Citizen TV. Yes. How many saw him being taken to a particular facility so that he can just regain his mental status? Okay? Let's say I have been exposed to content that is going to, that shows that when somebody is committing suicide, and then I'm affected by that, and then I go and commit suicide. Do you think there is any form of compensation that will bring my life back? Okay? So such kind of hazards, we call them irreparable. They cannot be compensated in any given way. Okay? Some will say, somebody, the other day I was in a matatu, and then we were saying there was a loss of the blogger. Then somebody was saying, his father has been given 10 million. Okay, that is enough. Was it enough? It cannot bring back alive. So there are certain aspects that we call them irreparable. So the Work Injury and Benefits Act is there to ensure that when you are injured in your workplace, when you are injured in your place of work, where the law defines that this is the workplace, then you get compensated as per what has occurred to you. If you lose a finger, if you lose a nail, if you hit your head, if you undergo psychological harm, you are caused some psychological harm, maybe you keep on hallucinating courtesy of what you have seen in the social media, okay? Then this law, you just walk to the Director of Occupational Health and Safety and you get assessed, and in the assessment, a compensation will actually be given unto you. And the person to actually enforce that you are fully compensated for this kind of injury is the Director of Occupational Health and Safety, which is also captured by the Work Injury and Benefits Act. Then we have the ILO conventions and recommendations, okay? These are not now, these are not what we call Kenyan, they are not local laws, but they are international instruments that Kenya has ratified. And under Article 2, Sub-Article 5, I think, of the Kenyan Constitution, any law that Kenya has ratified forms part of our laws. So if we ratify a convention that is going to say no gender-based violence and harassment in the place of work, then if an employer actually violates that, then you can walk to court because it forms part and parcel of our laws to claim for an infringement of that aspect. Then we have the Constitution of Kenya. Now, the Constitution of Kenya, under Article 22, you'll realize that any citizen whose right has been infringed or violated can actually go to court and enforce those rights. Okay? If today, as a content creator, your right is violated, you can walk to court and enforce that law and enforce that right so that the law looks at your pre-analysis. For instance, we had, when I was reviewing your case, prior to that, you had a case by, there is somebody who had gone to court on behalf of the content moderators. And in going to court, the court retaliated by doing what? Issuing redundancy notices. Okay? So that person was not acting alone. He was acting on behalf of others to enforce a right. But was he enforcing this right just for his own sake? He was enforcing this right courtesy to Article 22 of the Kenyan Constitution. Then under Article 23, you will actually be heard. Then Article 36 of the Kenyan Constitution, you have a freedom to associate. You have a freedom to actually join with others to form any associations of your kind, to form a trade union of your choice. As a content moderator, if you agree here today that you want to form a trade union for your own sake, okay, so that you can negotiate for your own behalf, nobody can actually curtail you because the law mandates you with that right of forming a trade union of your own choice. Then Article 41, basically, as we have talked about, is on fair labor practice. Now, the employment terms and conditions. What are these? Yes, yes. You have a question? Yes, there was this other microphone. I'll give you this.
So we have scenarios from the one from the work injury benefit. We have some scenarios where you find maybe you're working in a place that you can get hurt easily. But now when you get hurt, you know, nowadays we have employees, like just you've said, most people don't know it because the employees, most of the time, they don't like compensating people on the injury, right? The employers, sorry. So you find sometimes they come back and say it was self-inflicted injury, which sometimes also does happen. Somebody just inflicts themselves, they just injure themselves intentionally because they know that there's going to be a benefit. It does happen. It does happen. It does happen. So again, how do we handle that in a process where you've been injured genuinely, then your employer says that it was self-inflicted injury. You did it intentionally, right? Then again, on the Constitution of Kenya, your ILO conviction and recommendations. How does it, ILO conviction and recommendations. Like example, you've said, for me, I know whenever you have a case, most of the times you're being told to present evidence for you to back up your claims. And now there's some places that when you go to work, they don't allow CCTV cameras within the workflow, neither do they allow phones. Maybe you've been through a situation of sexual harassment or even verbal harassment. But now you see, in as much as you want to report such situations, you cannot back up yourself because you don't have that evidence to back up your accusations. Neither are you going to get somebody who is willing to testify for you because of the fear that they might lose their job for testifying against the company. In a situation where you have such kind of cases but you don't have evidence, how do you go about it?
Yes, I'll begin with her first and then I can take the two before I proceed. You're saying that self-inflicted injuries, whereby employers will, you know, when we go to court, okay, we are going to court so that we can prove to court my side of the story and the other side can prove to court her side of the story, okay? So based on the evidence that will be available, okay, then we'll be able to say whether this is what we call a self-inflicted or not self-inflicted, okay? Your evidence will speak for itself, okay? That on this one, at this particular point, we have an employee who has, do you think I can subject myself to lose 3 fingers because I want to get compensation? Yes? Okay, do you think I can inflicted injury will speak for itself. I don't believe an employee will just justify I lose a finger for 500,000. Eh? Eh? Basing on what she told us that you cannot caress with 4. So can an employee lose that opportunity to caress? Okay. And then the second question was on the aspect of sexual harassment. Yes, and there are some employees who are not allowed. It is true. Some workplaces are not allowed by, for you to go and gain access with your phone or any other thing that will record something of that nature. That is true. And that's why we are saying this is actually a law that is currently, you have had the trade union movement calling for the ratification of Convention 190 and Recommendation 204, okay? Once these are ratified, and you realize at some point, the employers were saying, no, we cannot ratify this, okay? Because once this is ratified, then we'll have a lot of cases that might go to court. Okay? So what we are waiting for is a local legislation that will do what? Will guide that. And we have seen some cases, and it is true, even in sexual offenses cases. The other day I was litigating for an employee, a Kenyan who was taken to prison. So we have seen some cases whereby men are taken to prison, okay, for an offense that maybe the mother had instigated the child to say she's sexually. See, they have been there in the media. So such kind of aspects also can occur within the labor scenario. Workers also can forge their injuries. But I don't believe on permanent disability, anybody would just occasion himself or subject himself to such kind of an action just to gain for any other benefits. But evidence will speak for itself. Okay.
Thank you. My questions are actually on the benefits of employees. beginning with the Work Injury Benefits Act 2007.
Okay.
I want to find out if there are provisions in that act which allows for flexibility in the instances where some were saying, you know what, this amount is small, it's not this, like you rightly mentioned now, a tractor smashing somebody's head and the rest of it. Like if the act says this is what employers should pay employee, are there also provisions within that act which allows the victims to actually appeal and say, no, what we've experienced or what we've been subjected to is what more than what the employer is going to give? That's one. Two, under the Employment Act of 2007, could you kindly shed more light on severance benefit and service benefits or service pay? Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, a question on Occupational Health and Safety Act 2007. In a case of contract, there are those people who engage who are maybe contracted for a period of time. And maybe in the contract they sign, it is indicated that in an event of accident or death or accident or injuries, they are not compensating for such. But then, this, by bad luck, you encounter such accidents on your course of performance for them, when you are working for them. In such case, you know, initially you had signed the agreement that you are not to be compensated. How is employee expected to move to the next course of action? Number two, on the issue of the remote tax, you know, this works. There are no physical signing of papers, and the agreement is based on the consent. Now you are subjected to harassment, maybe let me say mental tortures and what have you. How do you take the step? Which action do you take? And these procedures, are there procedures that are stipulated? How are they? How are the awareness created among the public so that individual knows how to maybe the step to take? I think, yeah, those are enough for now.
Let me begin by that and say one thing. If you look at Article 2 of our Kenyan Constitution, I don't need sub-article 3 or 4 there. Okay? Any law that is repugnant with the provisions of the Constitution, any action that is repugnant, okay, cannot be held as lawful. Are you getting me? So, for instance, I have signed something that is going to take away my right from the Constitution. If I say I'm not going to be compensated, if I sign something that says I'm not going to be compensated, that is not binding because it cannot take away something that is within the same Constitution. It is not what we call a fair labor practice. Are you getting? So, such a contract is illegal ab initio, on the face of it. You feel like, yes. And that's why I'm saying, because we know the dynamics of employer-employee. Who has much power? When you are going for that employment, can you dictate the terms as an employee? Wewe sasa ni hustler, umetoka, umepigwa na life, okay? Can you dictate the terms of that contract? Because the dynamics are, just hold on, the dynamics are the person with much power is the employer, okay? That's why if you look at the law, the Employment Act, the person who is mandated even with the responsibility of making sure that an employment contract is put in writing is who? The employer, not the employee. Because at that time, it's taken to be that you have the power dynamics are the employer has much weight than the employee. The employee is at a place of vulnerability. Okay? So if you sign such a contract and you are signing it because you need to secure employment, if it comes to court, okay, and it is put against our laws will definitely look at it, and the yardstick will be you cannot take away your right that is constitutionally given unto you. Okay? Anything that we have had laws, there was some Finance Act 2023. Was it 2023 before the 2024 was the one that was repealed? Okay? The 2023 one, in as much as it was legislated in Parliament, leave alone the employment spaces, okay? It was legislated in, yet the court declared it what? Unconstitutional. That was the term. It was declared unconstitutional. When something is declared unconstitutional, it means that thing is not lawful. Okay? It is expected that when the law gives, it cannot take with the other hand. I get it. Yes, then the second question was, let us agree that this remote work and the content moderators and the AI annotators, these are emerging new forms of employment. If you look at, and I want you to go and look at that decision, then as content moderators, you can take over from where Justice Brian Ongaya left you at in the interlocutory state, okay? I know that the judgment was set aside, okay? But there were certain things that he said, okay? One of it was he tasked the first, second, third, and fifth interested parties. We had the Kenya Human Rights Commission, we had the Central Organization of Trade Unions, we had Ministry of Labor, I think it was there. So they were tasked to look at and come up with a policy and law for these new digital workspaces, okay? Now, I know that that judgment was appealed and it was set aside, but do you think this work will just be left bare without any regulation of itself? Can it be left bare? Hello? So there is going to be definitely a law that will be crafted to look at these new forms of work. If you look at that judgment at that interlocutory stage, there were certain good recommendations that were made by the judge, okay? But you know the Court of Appeal, what the Court of Appeal said. He said this kind of live, and I'm not talking on the contents of that petition. I'm just saying that going forward, such kind of arrangements will be captured by the new laws. And remember, in Kenya, we have what we call public participation, okay? Now, with public participation, you'll have to give your views as content moderators on how you want such a law to be carved. Okay, thank you. I'm finishing, I'm reminded of 10 minutes. This law actually, the occupational health and safety, actually has those prescriptions. Yes, yes. They have those prescriptions in the regulations. Yes. And that is what will guide the compensation aspect of it. I will go very quick. Now, the employment terms, the second question was? Yes, severance pay is 15 days per year served, okay? When you are terminated and maybe you are not paying any social benefits, the national social security, okay, the employer was not remitting, then you will be entitled to service pay. Now, service pay and severance pay in our Kenyan law, these are just semantics, okay? It is one and the same thing. You have served for these years, now you have been terminated. quick. We have the written contract of employment. We are saying for over 3 months, it must be in writing, and the person to do that is the employer under Section 9. Now, Section 2, an employment contract can be oral or written, okay? So, nikikuja nikwambia nimekupea kazi, na sijaandika, but I'm paying you every month. You are already my employee. There is no way I can run away from that, because the law under Section 2 says that an employment contract can be either oral or written. Then hours of work, we say it is 52 hours of work, okay? If you look at the general wage guideline, wage order, we have 52 hours of work, which basically is 6 days of work with 1 day of rest, okay? That is as per the regulation of wages general order, CAP 229. Then we have the wages and payment of minimum wage. This is every employer. You cannot be paid below the minimum wage. You will always be paid above the minimum wage. If you are paid below, then there is something called underpayment, okay? So you can claim, when you are terminated, you can claim for underpayment arrears, okay? The law requires, for instance, I'm supposed to be paid 30,000, and I've been terminated, and I was being paid 20,000. For those years I served, I'll claim the difference, okay? Which is 10,000. It's called underpayment arrears. Are you getting me? Then we have leave entitlements. We have annual leave. Annual leave is 21 days minimum if you don't have a CBA. If you have a CBA, it can be more days, okay? Then we have what we call sick leave. Sick leave is 30 days a year, okay, with an additional of 15 days, okay, for that year. Then we have maternity leave. How many? Maternity leave is how many? Yeah? 90 days, which is basically 3 months. Yes. Can we clap for her? Yes. Now, we have paternity leave. Wababa wako wapi? Yeah? 2 weeks. Hiyo ni kidogo. Inafaa tuende tu appeal, iriviviwe. Si tunakaa na hao watoto bana. Yeah, so we'll try and review that. Paternity leave ikue ya juu. Okay? Then you are also entitled to notice upon termination. I was looking at that case again. And in looking at that case, I'll tell you that in as much as it was dismissed, what was dismissed, I believe the substantive petition will address all these aspects. What notices issued, was such kind of things given. Then we have non-discrimination and harassment. You cannot be non-discriminated. Then we have health and safety under Section 613 for that. Now the case law, which I cited, is very critical because as content moderators, it will inform your next course of action. Okay? The summer source. It's called Summer Source EPZ Limited. Am I citing it correctly? Trading as Summer versus Meta Platform Incorporated. Eh? There were 3 kind of employers. So you can already see, even from this case, the nature of employment in its very self was precarious. Okay? You remember when I was saying, you cannot be able to track who the real employer is. At some point, the judge is saying the employer is Meta Incorporated. And then it says Summer Source is an agent, senor? Yes, so those kind of things, those are what we need to look at and streamline in our legislation. If you are interested, you look at those cases and you will try and do some self-analysis. Now, the trade union, if you want to form a trade union as now content moderators, or you already have do you have a trade union as content moderators? On the way, yes. How do you form it? You only need 2 promoters, okay? They write to the registrar. Then within 30 days, the registrar of societies issues you with what we call a recruitment certificate. Now that recruitment certificate will take you to the next stage, okay? Of recruiting members signing. Then upon them signing, you will submit those signatures with the constitution of that proposed union to the registrar, and the registrar will definitely issue with a registration certificate. What if he doesn't issue you with a registration certificate? You can go to court. There are cases that have been, there are unions that have been given registration certificates by just applying to court. Because the registrar sometimes can say, oh, I'm not giving you this thing. And come up with, maybe, let me not call it, because I was told you are live, okay? I was going to say flimsy exercise, flimsy excuses. But already I've said flimsy. Si nimesema? Yes. So the registrar can sometimes say, they don't have an employer. I'm not giving them a union. Or this name is similar to an existing union. Okay? Or these people can join a different union. If he tells you you can we do as content moderators, know your contract and local labor laws, join or form a workers association, then document abuses, okay? And you can even seek legal aid to some of us. I'm available yours truly for such purposes. Then you can participate in collective bargaining agreement. Now, collective bargaining agreement, upon that union being registered, they will go and recruit workers, content moderators in a particular company. Now, if they reach a 50+1 majority, okay, then they will sign what we call a recognition agreement. That recognition agreement is what will enable the union that you will have formed to negotiate a CBA, which will improve your terms of payment or your terms of service with the employer. With that much, I beg to say thank you for listening. Asante sana.
So thank you so much for that great session. I don't know if he has answered most of the questions that we have in mind. Any pressing question that anyone has? A very pressing one. Okay, you can have it.
Sure, there's somewhere he mentioned about the 8 hours and the 52 working hours per week, right? And also there's something that we call the sick leave. So most of the time the sick leaves are paid, right? So what if, yeah, paid sick leaves. You have paid sick leaves and you also have paid sick leaves. So the situations that you find yourself, you're working for a company that whenever you go for sick leave, they tell you to compensate that day. So me as the employee, my contract says I have 7 paid leave days and 7 half-paid leave days. So I have gone for my sick leave and I'm genuinely sick. Sometimes you find them calling you back to the office. They're telling you, we need you back here, or they cancel your sick leave. Then you're being told, in as much as you're on sick leave, you are going to compensate for the hours. If you're working with companies that work with hours, right? Another thing is the 8 hours work limit per day. You find that you're supposed to be working 8 hours a day, but the company tells you, we have not met our target for the working hours. Add these hours for us to meet our target. So in such situations, what is the next, if you don't want to be part of that, what is the next process? Because most of the time, if you go against it, the company threatens you with the termination of your contract or writes people email of, gross misconduct or whatever.
Thank you. I'll answer just one by one. We live in a generation where I was told, uoga tulitupa wapi? Uoga tuliambiwa tuliacha wapi? Si tuliambiwa tuliacha nyumbani? Yes. The Gen Z generation. Wanaenda asema, anaweza chezea mbele ya gun, bullet gun. Unadhania amepewa maji rebellion. Anafanyia polisi. Na polisi yako na gun. But anyway, this is what we are saying. When it comes to enforcing your right, there are certain gross violations that sometimes we witness and we keep quiet because we want to sustain our employment. I believe that is the generation millennial. Wale wanapenda kusema, wacha tu nipate mshahara, wacha nivumilie. Okay? But imagine unaenda kuvumilia, unajua you can pile sickness and I'm sorry, you are not content moderators. There is a content creator, sorry. There is a content creator who died the other day, KK. Sindo? I'm sorry, and you can imagine maybe the disease was piling. So maybe you are entitled to sick leave. Where you go sick leave, maybe the doctor has said he has recommended a bed rest. Where the doctor has recommended a bed rest, hii mwili yako si chuma, alafu unaambiwa kuja kazini. Then because you fear that salary, you risk your life for? Why not just stand firm and tell that employer, okay, that let's have this aspect. Let's okay. Any other question? No question. Yes.
Thank you. Now, regarding the act and the laws, is it right or is it possible for companies or employers to say, all right, these are laws in Kenya, but it does not apply to us. So we only do that which applies to us as a company and not a law in Kenya.
Where is this company located?
I'm only asking a question.
Sorry, I'm saying, is in your example, okay? Is it located in Kenya or it's if it is located in Kenya, which juridical boundary does it obligate to? It is obligating to the Kenyan juridical laws, okay? Because for the first thing, for it to operate in Kenya, okay, even if it's a foreign company, okay, it must be incorporated first for it to operate. Why is it incorporating? To comply with the laws of Kenya, to comply with the employment laws, to comply with the tax laws, to comply with any other law that is within Kenya. So you cannot evade a liability. The only way you can evade a liability, and I saw that, is when you say you are a Chinese employer. So you say, I cannot speak English and I don't understand English. I only understand Chinese, and you are in a conciliation. So the employees come for their right, you say, chang, chang, simply you don't understand. So in that perspective, you cannot enforce. But again, that employer can be deported. Okay? You know that. So the first thing is, if it's a foreign company and it's operating in Kenya, then definitely it must have what we call, it must be incorporated and it must comply. The word is must. I'm not the president, I'm not the Nini, I'm a citizen, I'm a citizen, and I'm saying it must comply with the Kenyan laws. Yes, I think enough. Yes, for content creators, or for what? Oh, minimum wage basically is that wage that an employee of each sector is supposed to be paid. Okay? That, you know, this is done after assessment, after so many factors have been taken into consideration. Then we say, if it is a cashier, in working in Nairobi, you are entitled to this minimum salary, okay? Then he's equally entitled to a different pay from a cashier employed in Nairobi. When you normally go for Labor Day, I know you have not attended any Labor Day celebrations, but during the Labor Day celebrations, you will hear the government and always the unions calling out the government to have a minimum wage increase. Sindio? Hello? Sindio? A minimum wage increase. So this is basically given by government each year, okay? To regulate that. This year it is based on maybe the index, the economic. Okay, when it is passed. But it is sector by sector, and you know these sectors have not been meeting. So basically, and this is a new sector, the content creators, actually I call it the digital workspace. This is a new line of work. We have no payment terms that have been developed. So we need to advocate for this so that we get fair terms. But if you can have a union and have a CBA, will you even need to look at the minimum wage? Because the CBA will give better terms. I can tell you, for instance, if the Employment Act says that the annual leave is 21 days, the CBA can say it is 28 days. And ya CBA ukienda kotini ndio ita apply. Ya minimum wage, ya sheria itawachwa. Okay? If the CBA says the rest. Okay? So that's why you will champion for that. Mimi sikusema hiyo umecheka. Thank you.
what we speak, the subconscious mind picks it. So utapata someone will tell themselves, you know, I'm not worthy, I'm not okay, you know, I'm a failure, or maybe, you know, I'm a brilliant person, I'm smart. What you tell yourself, the neural system picks what you are saying. It will transport it to the subconscious mind and absorb what you say. At the end of it, if something happens, utakuwa in a position to come up with a justification of why things happen the way they behave. So it is very important, especially to guard our minds, to guard what we think, to guard what we reflect, to guard what we introspect, so that we can be in a position to cope and be, you know, to function well. The other aspect is the emotional self-care. And by emotional self-care is specifically the feelings that we experience. I've interacted with different clients, and one of the clients, apparently some of the clients that I've met, one of them told me this, you know, when I'm sad or when I have the negative emotions, I never want to experience them. So what does the person do? Kama ni something about negative emotions or negative feelings, they don't want to experience. Lakini if it is about the positive feelings, positive emotions, they will experience it. The body creates a coping mechanism whereby if I don't want to experience something, most of us, what do? Either we repress that issue or tend to avoid that issue. I tell people, this is a short-term coping mechanism. That's why unafika mahali unapata some people, they have so much issues, they have so much on their plate, they don't share, they don't talk about it, they tend to repress the issues. Later, unapata mtu anafanya nini? They tend to burst. Be very careful and understand yourself better. There is a Greek saying that says, the most important, the greatest wisdom is knowing yourself. Apparently, most of us, our name we know, but who I am, I'm still in the process of doing what? Discovering. Be very careful to understand yourself, understand your coping mechanism. How do you deal with issues? How do you handle issues? When things come your way, how do you deal with those issues? Are you the kind of a person who will run away? Are you the kind of a person who will face it head on? When someone faces danger, psychologically, there are three ways how a person will behave. You either fight, you either flee, or you will freeze. So, in what category are you in? Ask yourself that question. The other aspect is the spiritual self-care. As an individual, you need to look at yourself in a holistic approach. And the holistic approach, I mean the medical aspect, the psychological aspect, the physical aspect, and the spiritual aspect. There is a model we call the biopsychosocial model, whereby if I have an issue that I need to see a doctor, can I have an opportunity? Do I set time to go and see the medics? If I have an issue with the mental aspect, have I been in a position to schedule an appointment to see a therapist? If I have an issue with my social, and the social aspect, that is the environmental aspect, be it now, it will explain our interaction with people, it will explain the surrounding where we live, and the most important thing we need to understand is environment plays a very big role to shape who we are. So in that environment, be it at work, what kind of environment are you staying in? So it is very important to understand that. So we cannot, that model will be very incomplete without the spiritual aspect. And with the spiritual self-care, what do we mean? What question do you ask yourself about your life and experience? What is my purpose? You know, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Is it something that I appreciate? Is it something that I have passion about? Are you engaging in spiritual practices that you find fulfilling? I know we come from different backgrounds, different practices, different beliefs, and it is okay. But do you engage in spiritual practices that you find fulfilling? Who is God to you? That is also something that you need to ask yourself. Who is God to you? This is very important because we need to understand that spiritual self-care is key for us to function properly and to operate well. We have also the social self-care, and by social self-care, what are you doing to nurture your relationships? I understand that no man is an island. We need people to interact with, we need people to engage with, we need families around us. So the social self-care is very important. However, as we need these people around us, we must also be cautious about ourselves. And being cautious about ourselves, we need to understand, in terms of social self-care, what kind of a person are you? There are people saying no is a very big problem. Being assertive, you know. You are there because you want to make everyone happy. You are there, you are the person who always take responsibilities. You are the person who always, you know, if things need to be done, kila kitu, it's all about you. Kindly have boundaries. Create clear boundaries so that you can be able to function properly. If not so, then you'll be in the verge of breaking. And it is key to understand that you ought to be, you know, to love yourself. Why is it that self-care is very important? One, it reduces anxiety and depression. I understand, or I can imagine the line of work each one of you is at. What you see, the content that you get on, the content that you interact with. Have you been in a position to experience anxiety? Have you been in a position to, you know, feel depressed? If that or your answer is an yes, then you need to seek a professional help. How will you understand that I need help? If you see yourself or if you find yourself that most of the time you want to isolate yourself from people, then there is a problem. If you are in a position whereby appetite has become a problem, your diet has become poor, then there is a challenge. If work is a struggle, you know, you can't perform, you can't engage, you can't, there is too much fatigue, burnout, you really need to take care of yourself. Importance of self-care, it reduces burnout. I remember there was a time I was going through a lot at work and I visited my brother. So I slept over there. When I was sleeping, at night, I think I had someone opening the door, walked out. I had someone come, kwa sababu, you know, the house was locked. I saw myself waking up, go open the door. There was someone outside. Nikamfungulia, then the person came in. So later in the morning, I'm asking the brother, I opened the door for someone. Did you see the person? And he tells me, you know, you must be mad. And then I realized this is a sign of what? Burnout. It can distort even what you think, what you see. So you have distortion of the thinking or the things that you are experiencing. It is very important as you, as a person, to take care of yourself. It improves the happiness. It increases energy. It builds stronger interpersonal relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very key. And understand that you are the most person that matters. If you are not okay, then nothing can be okay. How do we achieve this self-care? You need to have a plan as an individual. And one, kindly consider your stressors. What is it that affects you? If you can be in a position to answer that, then you'll be able to reduce the stress level or the burnout that you are facing. Assess your need. What is the most thing that matters? Something we call cost-benefit analysis. Do I want to do this? You know, of what benefit does it have to me? Assess your need. What is of the importance that you need to do at the moment so that you deal with it, hizo zingine can fall into place. Devise a self-care strategy. It can be exercise, it can be diet, it can be a massage. Love yourself to a point you can treat yourself. Because with what you are going through, what about you? So this is something that you need to understand. This is something that you need to improve and be serious about. Take small step. We are in an environment or a society where we tend to compare ourselves too much. Things are happening around. You understand the situation of what is happening around the country. Issues that are at work. Take small steps. Whatever you can deal with it at the moment. Whatever you are not in a position to deal with, achana nayo. Sawa sawa? And kindly schedule time to focus on your needs. What are these needs that you need? I believe next time, if we have enough time, we will do something about mindful meditation, especially for people who are experiencing stresses, for people who are experiencing burnout, and they don't know how to handle that issue. Mindful meditation can be one way to deal with those issues. Understanding your breathing technique and something we call the RAIN technique, RAIN meditation technique. But anyway, when we find time next time, we will look at it. Finally, I want to put this or share this for everyone so that they understand how important they are. Understand that for the challenges or the challenges that you are facing, understand you are not broken for being tired. You are not selfish for needing rest. You are not weak for feeling heavy. You are a soul who feels deeply, a heart that carries others, and a vessel that also needs feeling. Are we together? You are not broken for being tired. You are not selfish for needing rest. You are not weak for feeling heavy. You are a soul who feels deeply. You have a heart that carries others, and you are a vessel that also needs feeling. Ladies and gentlemen, the most person that matter, and I'll keep reminding you that the most person that matter is you. Emotionally, mentally, physically, and even spiritually, if you are not okay, then things will not be okay. You need to start by you so that everything around you can fall into place. You matter a lot. I want to put my case to rest. Any question? I think I'm really on time. Any question.
I have a question. You have talked about self-care. First, you have to deal to what is important. In this case, for example, you're having that stress, maybe you have a kid who is schooling, and the director needs school fees by Monday. At the same time, the landlord needs a rent on that same Monday. Those are two cases that are stressing you. And keep in mind that you don't have a job, you don't have any support, and you have to deal with these two stresses on that Monday. How will you go about it? That's the first question. The second question, we talked about mental awareness. Maybe we have that mental sickness. We don't have anybody to talk to. We don't have even that family friend to talk to. Don't have relatives, friends. You are just you alone. How will you go about it? And maybe you don't want to share with anybody, but internally, you are feeling stressed. Thank you.
Thank you. I talked about priority. What is the most important thing for you? I believe if the child needs more of attention than the landlord, you will focus on the child first. Unaweza ambia landlord angoje kidogo, si ndio? They can adjust, ama they can wait. Look at what is the most important or the priority for you. The second thing, the second question, you ask about, you have so many issues, you want to talk about them, but you don't have someone to talk, or you don't have someone to trust to share them about. We have therapists around. Seek a professional help or a therapist who can walk with you through that journey. Understand when you get a client as a psychologist or a therapist, whatever the client shares in that room is private and confidential. And this is someone who is there to walk with you through all that journey. So if you feel like, I don't want to talk to a friend, I don't have a friend, I don't have a family that I can trust, I can share something with, then seek a professional help. Therapists are around. And there was a third question, Cindy? Only two. Okay. Any other question? Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your time and for today's session. So we'll just take a few feedbacks as we end the session. So we want to hear from you what we should have done better. What do you think in our next session we should include in the program? What topic do we want to talk about? Just to hear a few feedbacks from you guys, so that our next session, we're still having the same session coming up very soon. So we want to hear your feedback and how it all went. We'd really appreciate that. We wouldn't feel judged. First thing I know we need to improve is time. You don't have to tell us. We know the time management today was terrible, but we'll really and intentionally work on it in our next meeting. So that one, we deeply apologize once again. But if there's any other thing that you would like us to discuss, any session you would like to talk about, someone we need to invite to speak to you, the mic is here. Any feedback? You know, feedbacks don't have to be what we did wrong. Maybe we did everything right. You can just tell us. Isn't it? All right, thank you.
Good evening.
Evening.
I mean, it's an afternoon, sorry. For me, I would just like to say thank you for everything.
For the session, I really liked it a lot because me, as a young person, I didn't quite know the rights of labor workers because I just finished my high school back in 2023. So I'm still new in this field. And again, I would like to thank all the speakers who came today, and thank you for the meal, for the transport money here. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome.
Hope I can get to see each and every one of us next time, maybe, God willing. Yeah. I thank you all, and may God bless you all.
Thank you so much. That's so kind. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I just want to say thank you for the session. At least we have learned some things that we did not know. I just wanted to ask, some of us were jobless, so about the job opportunities, if we can get some, we will appreciate.
Thank you so much. I think we'll take one or two more and then that's it.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again for giving us this opportunity. And some of us, we used to work together, and we've been so far. And now you've joined us. Yeah, we've come together. We appreciate for that. And it was my suggestion that someday or soon, even the government don't know what about to do with such as online remote moderation, you see. So we could come up with the policies as content creators, as moderators, data annotators, policies that could guide even the government on what ought to do with the remunerations of the workers. And it will be very important for us and even for the future employees.
All right, thank you so much. That's really powerful. Anyone? Okay. You can take care of the ones behind you. One is just behind you. I can just give the one. Someone is behind you. Who was the one here?
I appreciate, I have learned a lot. Under the rights of worker rights, I would like to comment and say that you should read your constitution. We were raised that you are told to read the Bible, you read books. You should also read the constitution, understand your rights and other things. Thank you.
Okay, so on that note, maybe just to say, before our next session, can we all promise here we'll go and have a look at that constitution? Who have ever even seen how it looks like? Have you ever seen how the constitution looks like? Even if you didn't read it, but maybe you just saw it online, you flipped through. Have we all done that? Majority haven't, so maybe before our next session, if you go through the constitution, you'll definitely see areas that would not be clear. Maybe you need a lawyer to explain, so that our next session, it should be more interactive than now, where you just ask questions. We should be getting questions, not we presenting. Today is just setting the pace. The next session is you guys now narrowing it down, channeling it into the work that you're doing and how it affects you, and how you can use the constitution to protect yourself as a worker. Is that fine? All right, because that would be excellent, because we don't want to come here and be speaking. We also want to know if you are putting it into practice and it's making an impact in your life. Yeah. Okay, I think, is that all?
Anyone else who want to speak or to give feedback? Going once, going twice.
May I have a question? I came late. I didn't get her name, and I don't know about the accent, so I want to know.
We'll do an introduction as we leave.
so perhaps I can give them a report on the ILC, a very brief one.
Can you do that right now?
Yeah.
Can Richard?
Yeah.
I want to look for Richard to come.
Richard is gone.
Then just do it as we continue.
I do it,
Yeah.
and then I
we
call.
do our introduction as a team. We show ourselves as a team, and then.
Hi guys. So as we conclude, I want to give a very short report, but before I do that, I want to thank all of you for coming. It's nice seeing you again. So I want to give a very short report about the International Labour Conference that happened last month. Was it really last month? Yeah. I think it was, last month. So now, I understand that most of us are working on platforms, so to some extent we are also platform workers. So International Labour Organization in Geneva, we had a conference last month, and they were discussing how they can regulate platform work. And in that conference, they came up with what we call a convention with a recommendation. So that's going to be like a law, a global law governing platform work. And then as part of that conversation, this August, there will be what we call a brown paper. So that brown paper, it will go to workers globally, employers globally, and anyone that document is related to, and then you'll be able to comment. So I would like to ask all of you to keep an eye for the brown paper so that you can also comment on what you think should be included in that convention. Convention is just like a constitution, but it's going to be a global kind of thing. So for those who don't have that draft, I don't know how you can get it, but for those who are in our WhatsApp pages, I'll be sharing that draft in that WhatsApp page. So for those who are not on WhatsApp, we'll be leaving out our contact so that you can reach out to us, and we can be able to add you to those WhatsApp groups. Also, we sent out a survey sometime this year about this program, and there was also one we sent when we were doing the last food distribution. So I believe all of you here got that email from me because you either filled the first survey or the second survey. So this coming week, we'll be able to look at that response of those surveys and evaluate those who will be able to qualify for food support and will be able to support you. And then after that food support program, we'll have another workshop. So we'll be sending out a very short survey to get feedback from you on what you like to be included in the next workshop, so that people who didn't manage to come today can be able to get a better experience. Sawa sawa. So this conference was organized by African Content Moderators Union, and we have a steering committee of 5 people. And there is a lady who is a member of that committee. She's a South African. She's not currently in the country. And then you are here with the guy called Richard Madenge, the guy who had a cape that looks like from Mzee Ojwang. For those who know Mzee Ojwang, the late. So he's gone, but now we are now here 3 of us.
Yes. Yes, position, I'm told about the position. I'm very bad at titles, but I'm the secretary to the steering committee. So thank you very much. Those who are supposed to be interviewed, you know? Yes, kindly. Munione kando tu kidogo tu, so that we do something very quick with you guys. Thank you. Oh, yeah. So, hey, my WhatsApp number is 0732 55 4890. Those who would like to bless me with M-Pesa, you know, I have 2 numbers. So I have WhatsApp. If you want, you have any problems, blah, blah, blah. Let's start again. WhatsApp number 0732 0732. Wait, I forgot. Huh? 32, 50. Yes, sorry. A lot of things in my head. 0732 55 4890. That's my WhatsApp number. You can try and call if I answer in this hour, but that's the WhatsApp. But if you feel like, you want to bless me, I have a WhatsApp number, M-Pesa number, or a Safaricom number, like any jokes, 0701 311 807. Sawa. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Kauna Malgui. I'm part of the steering committee members and the mental health and welfare committee lead. So I'm a clinical psychologist by profession. So in case you want any psychological support, feel free to enter my DM. My number is 07 57 388 102. If you don't get the number, I can give you my card. You can just meet me, I can give you my card. So thank you so much, guys, for showing up today. It's a great privilege to serve you all, and we hope that we keep interacting. And also, please share feedback so that also we can serve you guys better. Someone asked of my accent. Where is he? He's there. Okay, I'm a Nigerian, and I'm happy to be here and to be part of this team. Thank you.
So my name is Moffat. Most of you have my contact, but I'm going to share it again. It's 0790836439. So, okay, 0790836439. So, I rarely pick calls, so if you want to reach me easily, you just drop me a message either on WhatsApp or offline. I'll be able to answer very fast. I own a church, so I'm always at the pulpit. So perhaps if you call, I won't be able to respond, but if you text me, I'll be able to respond. So thank you for coming. For those who want to take interviews, you can remain behind. The workshop is officially closed till the next one. So expect to hear from us this next week for the food support program. For those who will qualify, not everyone actually goes to heaven and not everyone will qualify. So for those who will be very lucky to qualify for the food support, we'll be sending out emails in the course of next week. So thank you very much for coming, and God bless you all.
Excuse me, guys, there's takeaway chapatis over there if you feel like you need some.